What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Hey guys, welcome to my vlog about E3 and some quick analysis and predictions and stuff that's probably ultimately going to end up wrong, and so I'm going to put it up on the internet so you can look back a year or two from now and be like, I'm never listening to that guy again. So I'm basically going to break down some of the developers, publishers, and the big three, evaluate what they have announced and what we maybe think that they're going to announce, and then let you know if I think it's going to be enough to win E3, even though, honestly, I'm going to just put a disclaimer out there. I'm actually really excited about everything, and every year we say this, and every year it's the truth. This is probably one of the biggest E3s ever, and this is a really exciting time to be in gaming, so let's get right down to it. Ubisoft! Alright, so last year, as far as I was concerned, Ubisoft practically, if not completely, won E3. They were in every single press conference. Their press conference was the biggest, and they had by far the most impressive lineup of anything out of anyone, and this is considering when Nintendo was revealing a new console, publisher could win, in my opinion. So that's just to let you know how strong Ubi was. I mean, and so now this year, I feel like Ubisoft still is bringing a very compelling catalog of stuff. However, I'm a little bit, it's not quite the domination that they had last year. Super excited about seeing the new Assassin's Creed Black Flag. You know, the pirate part, the ship part of the last Assassin's Creed was by far my favorite sections of the game. So if we're gonna get something that's that, but even more in depth, if the Assassin's Creed somehow becomes some sort of ship simulator, I'd kind of be okay with that. I'm probably alone in that, but hey, this is my vlog, not yours. Also, South Park. They picked it up in the THQ, debacle, the rest in peace THQ, and which I think is just a really solid pickup. I mean, written, Obsidian plus Trey Parker and Matt Stone. There's almost no way this game could be bad. And so if we get our hands-on it, that's a very strong, compelling reason why Ubisoft is doing super great. Then, of course, also we're probably going to be getting a hands-on of the new Splinter Cell. We've seen some gameplay for it. To be honest, I'm not the hugest Splinter Cell fan, but I know a lot of people are. And so I feel like there's sort of like an untapped reserve of a fan base out there. So if they go and knock it out of the park and everybody goes raving about Splinter Cell, that's going to certainly be a big boon for them. And then, of course, the game that everybody's been salivating over, Watch Dogs. Again, if we get I don't see how this could happen, but it's completely possible. But if we do get a hands-on on it, and people are kind of tepid on it, this is actually kind of dangerous. Because if people are actually kind of less than raving about it because of the built-in expectations of Watch Dogs, it could be a dangerous thing. It could lose some steam on it. However, I don't think that's the case. I think everybody's going to be super happy with Watch Dogs. And yeah, I want to get my hands on that game so bad. But then also, there have been some rumors that Ubi's going to be revealing a yet as of unannounced game, which is pretty exciting and could prove. I mean, that's like just a total crapshoot. Like, it could be the greatest thing ever. We could not give a shit. So, Ubi, while still strong, it's hard to really necessarily evaluate because there's still some intangibles that are that aren't there. But still, very much looking forward to what they have coming out. Bethesda. So I'm a pretty big Bethesda fanboy. They've soaked up with id Software, and then just all the Fallout and fucking Skyrim. Like I gotta admit, I am very much on the Bethesda fan bandwagon. This year, they did last year kind of, but this year there's probably going to be a big full court press for Elder Scrolls Online. A lot of press has recently gotten their hands on it, and there's been positive buzz about it. However, it's kind of up in the air. I mean, it's an MMO, which, frankly, I don't know if that's a genre that's really going to be around that much longer, because ain't nobody got time for that. Serious. Like, it's hard to get. People have to put a lot of time into that game, and then it's not only that, but they have to have friends who put a lot of time into that game. It's a big, like, a lot of things got to be lined up for that, for an MMO to be successful. And I don't know if that's happening anymore, especially with, like, the rise of casual gaming. Our gaming attention spans generally are kind of shrinking. Plus, who knows what the fucking pay structure for it's going to be. If it's monthly, I think Old Republic showed pretty well that monthly is not viable anymore, no matter how built-in of a fan base or how much money you throw at the game. That's a really hard sell. So while Elder Scrolls Online, I think, is going to be a good game, I don't know if it has a lot going against it to keep it from being successful. Also, we're probably going to be seeing a Wolfenstein. Cool! Is this from the guts of Doom 4 that they keep on bringing back and not? Maybe, I don't know. Nostalgia's pretty great, but as I'll touch on later, I don't know if a shooter is necessarily a leader, is a show leader for anything. That being said, if we get even a fucking teaser of Fallout 4, as far as I'm concerned, and as I know a lot of people are concerned, that's like game over. Like, who can respond to Fallout 4? I will be crying tears of joy. I will shit my pants. Valve! People think they're gonna see the Steam box. You're not. Sorry. Activision! Activision is a huge company, and even though they have, a lot of a pretty thick catalog, really it's going to come down to two games for them. First one we've already taken a peek at, and Ghost, Call of Duty Ghost, like, it's by the conglomerate of, what used to be Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, just like, it's got a lot of cooks, and, they've tried to, they knew it was going to be a super failure if they called it Modern Warfare 4, because just, Lord help you, I mean, it would be Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare 4, sort of. I guess maybe that could have been the title. But I think, honestly, because people now kind of say this, Call of Duty's every other one. The Treyarch one is more the favored of the Call of Duties. I think it's got that going against it. I think generally shooters are on a downward sort of path, so I think it's going to be hard for people to get excited about a shooter these days. So I think it's got a lot going against it. That's not to say that it isn't going to sell 1 billion fucking copies and make a lot of money. However, not E3 prediction, but future prediction, this will be the first Call of Duty in the line of Call of Duties that is not going to make more than the last one. And you better believe that's going to cause all fucking sorts of panic in the ranks at, wherever. However, after me just dissing all the shooters, we are going to see Bungie's Destiny. Finally, fucking gameplay. I am really excited about this. I'm very excited about this. Though, I don't know if I'm excited because of the fact that they haven't shown that much, and it's all just sort of been these general ideas that, like, you put together is sort of mysterious enough that in your head you make that game that you want to play without them actually showing you it, and so you're excited about this idea that doesn't actually exist. It's a strong possibility. I mean, this is Bungie's first non-Halo game in a very long time, and people have Halo just kind of fresh in their head, so that's really all they associate Bungie with. But I'd like to remind you that actually Bungie has made less than successful games. They've made Abuse, if you're really old school like me, you may remember that. Didn't do so well. They made Oni, which was an interesting idea, but didn't do so good. And then even though it's close to my heart, it wasn't really that critically successful, or well, not critically successful, commercially successful Myth. So Bungie has had missteps before, but it's been overshadowed by that colossal success of Halo. So Destiny is really going to be the thing that's going to either make or break Activision's showing at E3. I like to be optimistic. I think everything that they've shown has been really cool so far, and I'm just very excited, very optimistic about it. I really hope it does well. People are kind of guessing that it's Borderlands, but more towards the MMO end of things, which is also funny. This has been an E3 of contradictions, because even though I've been saying MMOs nobody has time for, if you can find a balance of like casual MMO to it, I think that can be a really winning combination. So if we get really strong gameplay with a cool world to be in, and that MMO addictiveness, plus the ability to pick it up or drop it whenever you want, I think that's my fantasy game that's super great and is gonna kick ass. And so if Destiny is that, it's gonna have a customer for me. Also, though, interestingly, well, actually, never mind. I'll save it for another one. EA, freshly coming off being voted as the worst company in the world by the internet. Make me sad, internet, sometimes. Basically, I think actually EA is poised to make a really, really, really strong showing at E3, regardless of being hated by the internet, for a couple of reasons. First off, we have really strong core franchises like Battlefield 4 and Need for Speed, both of which, I mean, Need for Speed as a racing game isn't a huge market share, but it's still going to be a solid game that a lot of people are going to like. And Battlefield 4, I feel like, is doing a pretty good job at growing as a bigger part of the shooter market. And even though shooters, in my opinion, are kind of in decline, I still think it's doing a good job at chipping away at its competitors. And so it's also just, usually a really solid game. However, I think EA has 3 opportunities for really coming and kicking ass at E3. First of which, Dragon Age 3. Dragon Age 2, well, Dragon Age 1 was really well received, built a very big fan base, and was generally a pretty damn good game. Excellent writing in it. That's why I played it, even though I didn't really care for the gameplay, which is crazy. I still played it nearly twice all the way through. So that is kind of a compelling reason, considering that Dragon Age 2, everybody was up in arms about how thrown together it was and how just sort of of a follow-up it was to 1. So they have a lot of pressure and a lot of feedback to make Dragon Age 3 really, really good. And since it's been a decent amount of time since we've had Dragon Age 2 and they've been able to really sink their teeth into it, I think it's actually going to come out as a really impressive, robust game. EA recently signed a deal basically with what's left of Lucas or Disney, I guess, now. And they are going to be doing all of the Star Wars games. Now, we don't know exactly which Star Wars games these are going to be. I mean, we've seen 1313 for fucking ever. Who knows if that's coming out, if that's going to be playable. However, I think there is a strong possibility, because the internet's been fucking just whining about this for goddamn forever. But I think there's a chance that we may see something along the lines of Battlefront 3. It's a lot of battlefields, battlefronts, but I think, if not that exact game, something that will be very, very similar and will make people very excited to play a Star Wars game again, which hasn't been something that, people have been excited about for a very long time. So I think that'll create a lot of positive buzz and a lot of positive feelings. Speaking of positive buzz and positive feelings and fan service, Mirror's Edge 2. I think it's an eventuality. I think there'll be at the very least an announcement trailer, if not a brief gameplay section, an actual gameplay section, because that is something that's very key to the uniqueness and the appeal of Mirror's Edge. So I think there's a strong possibility that we will see Mirror's Edge 2 adding up Battlefront, fucking Dragon Age 3, and Mirror's Edge 2. That's so much fan service that I don't see how you could hate them anymore, internet. I really don't. I mean, yeah, there's the DRM stuff and all that, but EA is really making a strong case for them to be kicking ass this year at E3. Nintendo! I'm gonna confess, and this is gonna totally just illegitimize my opinion as a game type pundit talker person, but I really haven't given a shit about anything Nintendo's done in a very long time. Like, even before the Wii, Nintendo kind of lost me. I appreciate that Zelda and Metroid and Mario are good games and well put together and are compelling, and the people that love them, and I don't think you're a bad person or less smart for doing that. I just personally have no interest in them. That being said, we can expect a Zelda game coming out of Nintendo for the Wii U, next gen Wii U Zelda game. For the preview, like back for the demo of the Wii U, 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? A while ago, there was a Zelda section, piece of it. Leads me to believe that they'll do one. They always sell well. They're always pretty much well received, or if not, after a while get well received. And then we can also probably expect another unannounced one. I'm putting my money on Zelda. I mean, they also said this is the year of Luigi, so we may get the Mario game, maybe a Luigi focused game, Luigi's even bigger mansion, mayhaps. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see another Smash Brothers announced, or we're long overdue for a Metroid, a good solid Metroid. And to be fair, actually, that is the last, what was it? Metroid Prime was probably the last Nintendo game that I played and I cared about and I liked. So I would think it would be nice if they did a Metroid game. Also, in terms of predictions, I think that they're probably going to have to drop the price of the console in order to try to undercut all the consoles that are Sony and Microsoft. I would expect at least a 25% price drop from Nintendo in around there. Because if this console, if the Wii U is out there and too close to the price of these brand spanking new consoles, the sales of the Wii U are going to dip even more. I'd also would venture to guess that Nintendo's going to probably try to take a stab at grabbing some exclusives, like develop an exclusive relationship with a major developer. because there's been a lot of, we're not planning on making anything for the Wii U kind of announcements. Well, not announcements, but like blurbs that came out from developers and stuff like that. So Nintendo's going to try its best to combat that. But I mean, I think it's too little, too late. Nintendo's kind of reaping the whirlwind of their of their success with going super casual with the Wii, and it's just not. Nintendo as a hardware maker is just no longer identified as a hardcore gaming, performance gaming system or company. Microsoft. Oh my goodness. The Xbox One, which is honestly, Kovic said something a little while ago, and I just stupid about the name, but I'm gonna bring it up anyhow. They should have just called it the fucking Xbox. Not the fucking Xbox, just the Xbox. That was me emphasizing that. Xbox One, it's confusing. Are we talking about the original Xbox? No, we're talking about the second one after that. Oh, that's dumb. Someone should have said that. Too bad they didn't have me in there. Even the 720 would have made more sense, but whatever. So there's been a big foo-for-all on the internet about how the Xbox press conference said very little about games. Really, the only stuff is we saw Forza and fucking Ghost and some stuff about fantasy football, and people were upset. Now, I'm gonna say two things about that. One, on the internet, people were upset because the people who pay attention to gaming on the internet, like exclusively about gaming on the internet, are hardcore gamers. That's what they want. They care about games. That press conference wasn't really for you. I'm sorry, it wasn't for me either, but we need to know what we're watching. This was basically Microsoft's continued sort of halfway trend towards the casual market. We saw it with when they responded to the Wii with the Kinect, and now that the PC is kind of becoming a media machine, they wanna kind of get into that market too, and they think that they can do both, as both being a media machine and being a gaming machine, which I think is kind of possible, but they're doing kind of a shitty job of presenting that. So that being said, E3 presentations is for you. It's for me. Congratulations, great. So Microsoft is going to double down on games. They will still talk about TV and fucking your hand egg spreadsheet game. However, they're going to double down on games and try to push a lot of games and be like, hey, we care about gaming too. They said in the last press conference that they'd be showing 15 exclusive games. Well, or 15 new IPs. I don't know if they're going to be exclusive or not. However, one will be exclusive. There's one I know for sure will be exclusive because we are going to see a Rare game. Rareware. And the Rare catalog has a lot of interesting stuff. It's got Perfect Dark. It's got a GoldenEye, I guess, maybe still. Kind of, possibly. I don't know. Conker's Bad Fur Day. I don't think it's going to be any of those. I think we are going to see a Killer Instinct reboot. Kind of cool. I don't really care about fighting games, but I know there's a lot of nostalgia about it. They still own the IP and the copyright on it. I think they actually just recently, there was a thing where they recently renewed it. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say there will be a new Killer Instinct coming out. So that should be kind of interesting. I also think Microsoft's going to be doing a lot of backpedaling on its Always On. They didn't really address it in the press conference, though they did in some interviews afterwards say that you don't have to have the internet connection all the time, but we don't know exactly. So we don't know exactly what that means or what the real particulars of that is. Also, there's the whole question about DRM. There's been a rumor that you're gonna get it, even though you're gonna have a disc, You're going to have to load it onto the hard drive and then have it on your hard drive in order to be able to play it, which I see as an eventuality, like that games will be, I mean, that's basically how it is for my PC already, but that I don't know if consumers are ready for that for their home console, and so I think they're going to try to have to sugarcoat that they're going to be doing that, and I think, frankly, Sony will be doing the same thing too, sort of, but not, not quite as... That, I mean, all that kind of stuff, the specs and whatnot, are the particulars of how these games, or game systems, work and handle DRM, and how you're getting games is going to be revealed on both sides, and just generally... I think Sony's probably going to be coming out ahead on that, but Microsoft is going to be doing a lot of kind of like backpedaling and making nice with the community. Like this is Microsoft's E3 for damage control, essentially. Sony! Alright, so Sony. New console. We saw kind of what it had in store for us at their press conference. It seems like 8 years ago now, but and in retrospect, especially in comparison to the Xbox reveal, it was actually pretty good. It didn't knock my socks off. I wasn't like, oh my fucking god, Sony's back. But I must say that Microsoft did a pretty good job at making Sony look good. And so that's why I kind of feel like, not necessarily because of what Sony has in store or anything that it's done, Sony has done just enough to appeal to gamers in order to make their showing at E3 be better than Xbox, or Microsoft, I should say. So my predictions are that they're going to get a couple more exclusives. Like I have a feeling that I forget exactly where I heard this, but that there may be some kind of limited exclusivity deal with Activision for Destiny. So you may be getting stuff early on Destiny on PlayStation that you wouldn't be getting as early on Xbox, which would be a pretty big thing. And honestly, I think that since they have Naughty Dog, basically, and Sony Santa Monica, like we're gonna see some pretty big reveals from them. I think people are gonna be very surprised because that Naughty Dog will have something to reveal, because we're all still very much Last of Us focused, and so I think it's those like two reveals, whatever they are, I think are gonna catch a lot of people by surprise. Well, and if they are, I'll preface that, but I have a feeling, in order to kind of keep the whole positive gamer buzz going, that there's going to be something, even if it's very preliminary, there's going to be something from both those studios that we haven't heard about. And I mean, God of War, the last God of War had been wrapped so long ago that I think there's going to be something new and interesting from Santa Monica that we haven't seen before, so that's going to be really exciting. And then, of course, people are crazy for Last Guardian. The hardcore gamers are waiting for their Arts game. Is it going to be a console seller? Maybe. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference, but I know people will be really happy to see something about it, and to see that, yes, this game is actually going to come out, and it will be in your hands. I mean, if they drop an actual date for when this thing is going to be released, otakus are going to yiz everywhere, so get out your canoes. Yeah, so that's what I think about Sony, and since I've been rambling on so long, my thoughts are kind of going... The winners of E3, my predicted winners of E3. This is a really long video, and I apologize, and thank you for staying with me for so long. Alright, so, for my developer winner of E3, I am going to go with EA. As I mentioned before, Battlefield, Need for Speed, solid things, but I mean, it's just how do you beat a fucking kick-ass Dragon Age, at least one Star Wars title that's gonna be great, possibly a Battlefront. I always fuck that up. I keep on wanting to say Battlefield, those motherfuckers. But either way, a Battlefront type game, if not Battlefront 3 plus Mirror's Edge 2. I just don't see how like that triumvirate of announcement style games is gonna be able to be beat. Though I do see one way, and that is if I put close in second Bethesda and Activision on the kind of like either if Destiny is the best game ever or Fallout 4, which will be the best game ever. It's only a matter of time. Which brings us to the winner of the big three. Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, I guess they still count. And my winner of the big three is Sony. Once again, not necessarily because of anything that Sony has done. It's just that Nintendo's nowhere near on the map to try to take back with this next generation. And I think Microsoft has done enough right now to cause enough ill will that at least for E3, Sony will have a better showing. But in terms of console sales coming up in the future, that is wide open. So there are my stupid predictions for E3. I hope you enjoyed the video, and feel free to mock me in the comments, especially if this is 2 months later after E3 and everything I say is wrong.